Good evening, good morning, good whatever. Welcome to wherever you are on this planet on July the 27th in 2025. This is Bongversations episode number 40, and Dave J is there, the Wizard of Arizona, is going to come out there and talk to you and tell us, everyone here, about number 40. What do you think, Dave? And how are you
Uh,
today?
yeah, so now remember I was just talking to you before we started about how when we first got to the four, that first episode, that fourth episode I should say, but it was the single digit. That was as if you're looking at it. You notice that's the door. All right, that's the idea. Boom. Now we're all up to now we're up to 40. And now to talk about 40, there's an interesting way you have to look at it. One, it's good to write it down so you can see the four and the zero. Now, if you take if you take zero from four, you're going to have four left. If you if you add zero to four, you're still going to have four. So you see across kind of the horizontal line, it's equal. However, with so-called mathematics and this invisible point that we're going to talk about, this door, this because it's all in the mind.
Is
It's an
this the
idea.
Dalet? The
Yeah,
Dalet?
yeah. The dalet, the
Dalet?
idea of
Yep,
da or the mind lets,
yep.
meaning that you're now letting it in. But now, physically think about you as a senses, as your body now walking into time through that door. You're now spending time with that idea. That's where we're at now. So now you're gonna spend time. So now, but mathematically, if you take four times zero, you get zero. Now,
Yep.
people would say, well, where'd the four go? Well, it's not, it was never talking about the four because it was always talking about the zero. The zero is either you turn it off, which is zero, or on, which is one. Do you see?
Yep.
That's the only way to make the 911 code work. 9-1. Do you pay attention to it? One. Back through. Do you pay attention to it again? 911. Boom, 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 boom. That's how a cycle, or that's how the so-called idea of having one's mind captured works. That's how you, because you keep collapsing the towers in on itself. You keep self-consuming what you think you know.
Right.
And that's people who, that's anything, any story people spend time obsessing on and believing on. Uh, in the end, it's simply an idol with no power. It's just something they chose to hang on to, even if that idol is non-belief,
Yep.
even if that idol is
Oh yeah,
rebel. Yeah,
atheism
yeah.
are the most vocal, annoying people ever. They accuse Christians of being it, but way worse,
It
way
has an
worse.
ism. It's an ism. So it's
It's an
like
ism,
yeah,
and
it's
it's a
it's one
belief.
of those.
It's their religion. Yeah,
Yeah, it's one of those things where they say it's they want to be almost like an atheistic or anarchistic. All of that stuff kind of goes together because it's all the archetype of the rebel
kiss
and
anarchist
most.
and
Yeah.
atheist
Mm-hmm.
kiss it
Mm-hmm.
goodbye. Kiss
Mm-hmm.
it goodbye.
And and then they have this and they have no cause, they have no thought, they have no way, they have no. They do know
And that's
no,
like the
but they don't
core of
know
it's
no.
no core of their apple, the
Yeah.
inside of their self. Yeah, no
Yeah. So
cause. If it sounds like
yes.
it, it says it. Is it? Yep, same thing.
So it's kind of like the difference of there's a there, or it depends on what the meaning of is.
Yeah,
You they have no. They don't know anything. So also, if you look at 40, because you like to look at the idea of use of language. So now 40, what words also equal 40 in simple gematria, that's using the alphabet that the English alphabet that everyone knows, A through Z, so that no one's confused. Blue equals 40. Now blue we've talked about as being the law pillar, or within the so-called uh, Kabbalah's tree, or the tree of life. It would be the number four. The little ball on the Christmas tree. Uh, it would be mercy. or the idea of mercy. Mercy is the idea of law or the law enforcer. Does the officer have mercy on you? Do they give you a warning? Do they let you go? Do they take you in? Do they throw the book at you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you see, so blue equals 40. So now this is the idea of this door that you're going into. CERN equals 40. Now,
Wow.
CERN is simply, we've talked about that. CERN is the real physical action of speeding light through a vacuum chamber and either impacting it onto a metal surface or what's called a target, and then reading the echo or the light scatter, and within that light scatter is data, and data is where invention comes from. That's what CERN is. But then if you look at also other uses of 40 or other words that mean 40, mind, mind, mind equals 40.
Wow.
All right. Buddha
That's three.
equals
That's
40.
three
Yeah.
really powerful. Four now from four really
Yeah.
powerful 40s.
Maya equals 40. All right. Also David equals 40. That's the idea. That's why you have the King David character.
Yeah.
Now here in the reverse, and what also equals 40, what's these doors, because you're walking, you're physically walking through them with your body, but it's a mental exercise. It's a belief believed on by yourself. Liar equals 40.
Wow.
Weak equals 40. Fatal
That's
equals 40.
WEAK or
Yeah,
WEEK.
WEAK.
Weak. Yeah.
Weak, like the physical weakness. Fatal equals 40. That's the idea of believing that's like you're actually literally ingesting, consuming poison, you know?
Powerful.
So then 40, 4D, 4D, like the letter D, 4, 4. Now 4D, what is 4D but a shape? Now, how do you measure 4D space? Well, you have the standard 3 XYZ, which is naturally the 24th, 25th, and 26th letter. So that's your 6, 7, 8. That's representing the cube, as we've
Yep.
already talked about before.
The
When
cover.
we did remember we did the episode with the Clive Barker series with the cube,
Yes.
and
Yes. Yes.
within the cube was the 7, the idea that was
Hell.
contained
That's
within
Hellraiser
Hellraiser.
episode.
Yeah.
Hellraiser. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, each side had its own kind of idea, whether it be love or sensation, the resurrection kind of, or just power in general, meaning that you have power over something. So then,
Yeah.
so then, how then do you then measure that next space? So you notice that that's the 6, 7, 8. That represents like the cube, which has 6 sides and 8 corners, just like a dice has 6 sides and 8 corners, and within, as you roll it, is the 7. You know what, the roll is the 7. It's the unknown, it's the mind.
Well.
So that represents the XYZ. Now then, for 4D, like we're talking tonight, 40, the W is what represents that other space, or that other point, I should say. It would be what's known as a tesseract. Now, this is, if you look at,
The square on a square, is that the
yeah,
tesseract?
it was, and it being able to move in and out, and you being able to see in all direction. All right,
Yeah.
until obstruction, whether that be physical or mental. You have perfect vision until it's obstructed by either physical, a mountain in like physical life, or in the mental life, an obsession, which won't allow you to see the truth, or a possession, an idea that's blocking your way from seeing the truth. So that, possession is simply just the capture of a fallen or false idea in your mind that you won't let go. That's possession, because a liar is a demon, and a demon is a lie. Therefore, it's just a thought believed on. You gave
Yeah.
power to it. You're possessed by it. so then this tesseract you have within that, if you imagine tetrahedron and the face on Mars people always go on and on about the tetrahedron. Now, Mars is the idea of this war or this a fight between. You know, it's just a light in the sky. There's no physical place you can go to, but we're past all that. Now, if you can imagine yourself sitting, touching your toes, you know, even if you could, and then just put a 33, you know, put the 33-degree separation between your heels. Now, here's where you have to imagine this because you've made a tetrahedron out of your body with your top head where your mind is looking down, and your other, if you're male, your other head or the other uh, propulsion system, meaning that you're going to be thinking with one or the other. And then
Yes,
depending,
it's,
yeah,
that's for sure.
yeah. So then and that's for women as well. But the middle point between those 2 points is the place I'm talking about. Because everything I just told you is shared with everybody that exists. Those 2 points, whether it be male, female, those 2 points of contact exist. Now, how you spend or how you walk forward in life physically is the point in between where you focus on. All right. So then that's now what we're talking about. That's what that door is. That's where your focus is. That's where you're going into. Thus, your body is spends time there. You know someone's mind by where they spend their time and what they're doing. What is their point, intent, and purpose? What is the intent? Now you notice that when I told you about that point of focus we're talking about, that it's in the 4D represented by the W. Now the W is the 23rd letter, which is of course reduced to 5 senses. Get it? So then if you have, and 5 is E, so then WE, we. Notice that the we is simply me reflected. The W,
Reflected, yeah.
it's upside.
We,
So
me,
what happens is, yeah, so what
me,
happens
we.
is that the me, the I, the one who was then walking, falls into the trap, becomes the hanged man, and then becomes the we. They start talking about we went to space, we did this, we won the game, we did the, you know, that they become part of this other thing. It's a Borg experience. They become
Yeah,
part of this unnatural organism that exists outside of their body and only is held together by their mind.
yeah.
So then that's what that W represents, because your WM, for example, think about WM. So if you just go back and forth on that, you M is what, the 13th letter, so that's your 4. Do you see how that's
It's
you
all,
flip it, the senses into the door?
yeah.
Boink. We just talked about that in a different way. Now, the 3-4 idea is represented a lot of times in music, for example, Rick,
Three
in
fours, yeah. Yep,
waltzes.
yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah, waltzes like that, even electronic music, things that want uh, or made for a rhythm. All right, kind of and to bring, speaking about a cube, and because we mentioned earlier about the Hellraiser cube, but imagine the Hajj. Now you have that within Islam where they go around this thing counterclockwise 7 times. By the way, 7.
Yeah,
Take
there's
a
your full
drink.
3 as well.
Yeah, the Kaaba, and then what happens is they go around 3 times at a hurried pace or at a brisk pace, and the 4 times at a more leisurely pace. That's your 3-4 timing. Now
Fantastic.
then, with the circles that are created by the people doing this, if you see it from above, it creates quite the serpentine, like flowing pattern to the eye. That's because you're talking about these ideas. That's the tesseract in physical motion. That's this point in physical motion. That is the representation or waveform of a coming together of minds for a single purpose. And it's you can see it at festivals, at concerts, at the
You can
hot.
see it if you go and see the Avengers movies. I'll tell you now, the Tesseract's all through them.
Yep, and you see it within the people though, the shared mind of the audience. They're all
Yeah,
there for a common purpose. That's what that. So that waveform, that somatic universe you see, is something that can now be gauged because if by now anyone who's been listening to the show should know that to participate in the world is a big time no. You're supposed to be just observing it, not
yeah.
bearing no false witness for any reason. So then and also kind of how this goes into kind of novel form. I know you read books as well quite
Mm.
often, but in the Wrinkle in Time, the Tesseract is the wrinkle. That's what it's the
What
wrinkle.
book's that? What is the Wrinkle in Time? I know
Madeline L. Ingalls book. You would have
Wrinkle in
to
Time.
read it, but
Yeah,
it's a Wrinkle in Time. It's about uh, obviously traveling through time, but it's the tesseract is the actual ripple. It's the wrinkle. Therefore, that's what we were just talking about. It's that space between those two heads, that point, that interaction with the world that is, of course, going to be in focus. That is the wrinkle. So then, if that wrinkle can get tweaked, that's where that's where your weakness is. Let's say your
yeah.
vulnerability. Yeah, the idea that something can be put in front of you that you're more vulnerable to, that you would fall for more easily.
When going back to what you were saying before
Yeah,
of the space between the two heads,
yeah.
would that be the solar plexus?
No, this is a spiritual idea of a space.
Spiritual idea.
This
Okay,
isn't the
not
mind.
physical. Okay,
Yeah,
this is the
well,
mind.
it
Okay.
can be described physically, but that's only by just carnal men understand it like the solar plexus. Therefore, it's the sun, and it's the sun that you
Yeah, yeah,
manifest.
yeah.
Yeah, blah blah blah. But that doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
It's the focus in your mind. Where is your thought focus? What is that? What is your obsession?
Where's
And
your
then
head at?
where's your head at, man?
Yeah,
So it's like, so if you look at that obsession, if you look at that focus of your mind, what is that focus's intent? Is it good or evil? That's where you know
yeah,
what the root of your mind is. And just like a taproot, if you can then identify that taproot that's causing you to err, for example, or to have bad thoughts or regrets, blah, 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 you find that taproot spiritually and you pull it. You got to pull the taproot out, cast that demon out.
yes. Most
You
people's
have to,
problems in the whole
yeah,
world are this manifest things that they've concentrated on and the thought forms that are repeating cycles in their head. And
right.
as you say, it becomes their idol. And yeah, so yeah,
You know, and,
making a
oh,
lot of sense here, don't
oh yeah,
as
and
usual.
what happens, Rick, is that they'll look for a public exorcism.
Yeah,
Either they'll go to group therapy, they'll put their problems out on the Facebook and whatnot, and they're hypocrites because because most, and I'm speaking about those who claim to follow some rule or regulation or some sort of word. And so I'll just take, for example, in this case, the Matthew 6, for example. I want to say verses 16 to 18. When he's talking to the people, he says, "And when you fast, which means when you fast for your own reasons, don't put a sad face like that of the hypocrites. Means don't walk around distorting your face so that people will say, "Oh, look at him. He's really fasting. He's really looking at he's really taking care of himself." Because he says, "I will assure you that they have their reward." Because they're hypocrites, therefore they have their reward. So when you fast, he says, brush your hair, wash your face, so that you won't look like you're fasting to the people outside. You look normal. You present
yeah.
yourself to the world normally, not as if you're under some sort of big pressure and, oh, what's wrong? Oh, I'm fasting. It's like, who cares, dude? You're doing it on your. It doesn't it has zero effect on me. What you're doing. All right, fasting wise, you do it on your own time. You pray on your own time. You do all that in your closet or silently, because that's the only way that
Don't
you
put it
get
on
rewarded.
Facebook. Don't
What?
put it on Facebook. There's a
And
good
he said,
example.
well, because he also says, and then you won't look like you're fasting to the, but also that your Father who is present in that secret place, that point I'm talking about, that
Yeah,
place,
right.
that
Got you.
point, your Father who sees in secret will reward you. That's what it's about. It's not about being seen or witnessed by man. It's about witnessing to man the truth of the nature of this place. Right. And it's and
Mm,
simply, Rick, it's just easy to describe this place mathematically through numbers and through the corresponding English words or even Hebrew words that correlate directly with those numbers each and every time you use them. It's a
yeah.
direct correlation.
Well,
So
if you listen to the last 40, the 40 episodes of Bongversations, you'll
yeah,
see that.
yeah,
You'll
yeah.
see that.
So it's like now you don't have to walk around saying you don't know. You do know. You know exactly how this place is put together. And as long as you can get 1 through 9, you figured it out. That's all you had to do. And now you just work your way up each step as the numbers compound. Now we're in this place, this point between those two places that 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 can now be anywhere, because the man's mind or imagination is quite literally endless. Therefore, people can be scatterbrained. It's like herding cats. You put a few stores up, you put some gas stations up, a bowling alley, a burger shop, hey, blah blah blah. Everybody kind of, like, Sims, go between the little places and go back home, and as long as they don't cause trouble, they don't get put into the system. In the U.S., the system is known as the law system. So if you break a rule or law, you're put into the system.
Yep.
So then that's like. It's the one. It's I always look at this place as a live action video game. So it's like the whole point is to get from home base, which is this play. We talked about that in the baseball episode, back to home base tonight without
Yep.
getting picked up and put into the system for whatever reason, or have some interaction with some weirdo, off the some what amounts to an NPC. Really, it does. Just somebody who just goes nuts, or is having a bad day and wants to visit that upon you, that kind of, that ghost. I'm like, no, I don't need that. Bounce. I'm like, literally
Bounce.
bounce, man. You get lost. So yes. Oh, but the 3-4 time, I wanted to go back before I lost it. So you had this waltz, but you also noticed that it shared with the pacing at the Kaaba, the 3 times around at a pace, and then a four times around at a more leisurely pace. That's a 3-4. So you can kind of see the waltz, and then from
Yep.
above you would see kind of this fluctuation, uh, uh, um, almost like a pattern. Well, it very much is a pattern, obviously. But hey, did you ever see, speaking of numbers and kind of the cube idea, we haven't talked about the cube zero, or I want to say back, the earliest one was Cube in 1997 movie, or Cube 2, the Hypercube in 2002. You
No,
ever
I
see
haven't
those?
seen them. I've
Oh,
heard of them. I know of them. Yeah.
okay. Well,
Do
yeah.
do
What
discuss. Do
Yeah,
discuss.
what happens is you find yourself stuck in this cube, and then
Oh,
and
I
that's
know it.
just,
Yes, I do
yeah.
know it. Yes, yes, I
Okay.
know exactly. I know who. I know it. Sorry, and I have seen it.
Yeah, so in 1997, the first one that came out, the cube was, it was 26 by 26 by 26. So that means that, what was that? There's there was, man, that I'd
Three
have to do
sixes,
math on that. Yeah.
24.
Oh, there was
Yeah,
like, well,
six.
17,576 rooms possible. All
Right.
right. Now those moved, however, they discovered in the next show, they moved that point we talked about can move. So it's like they were thinking that they just moved up, down, back and forth, but they can actually move kind of like in a different direction. So then, according to that, it was broken up into nine three-digit numbers. So you had three. So let's say 666, for example,
Yep.
897, and then 466. So then that would break down to 18, 24, 16, XYZ. Now, then, do you notice that we talked about XYZ earlier? So what's missing out of this but the W? The W is that point, that point of meaning that target point. That's what in these movies it's showing, is that these people are they're going through the so-called maze, but their intention is not focused, and
Yep.
therefore, yeah. So what happens is if you watch it, it really just goes through kind of mathematical equations and the idea of representing, once you find a pattern, how you can then follow that pattern. And that's simply all you're doing when you apply code to really any story, being that it has to be there. You also then have to simply discern, or an intent, or discern the intent of whatever the story or the spell being cast to you is, because everything's being cast to you, whether it be from the movie screen or from the words being read that you're reading. You're either reading it mentally or you're reading it out loud. So you're thus casting it back to yourself,
Yeah,
right?
well, with any of the stuff, once you wake up to these patterns and colors and
Mhm.
stuff like that, all your major Hollywood and Netflix movies are full of the stuff, and it's
Oh,
been
yeah.
put in there very, very craftily as you was cut, and it's been cast into your subconscious whether you knew it or not. Now you've listened to these shows, you will see how much
Right.
of this bafflement has been pushed into your
Yeah,
psyches.
there you go.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, Ray, hey, you've seen well, movies like Squid Game, movies like
I was about to
the
bring Squid Game up actually.
yeah, because
I was very impressed with the very last series, few episodes I saw. I haven't watched the first series, but I thought it was extraordinarily good and a lot of stuff in there.
yeah,
Um,
well, yeah, and it deals simply with really trust and deception,
yeah.
or and how they balance. But then also that's really there was another one called the Belko experiment in 2016, and that deals with these office workers that have this. Uh, they get trapped in, and they have this kill or be killed type idea. Unfortunately, these movies they show these real interesting ideas, but they show them in these movies that are quite graphic. That's the
Oh yeah,
unfortunate
yes.
part. So it's like,
Especially Squid Game. Especially
yeah.
Squid Game. Yeah.
So unfortunately, but then that's where this actual, if you're going to be looking into any of this anyway, you don't have to. But if you're going to look into any of this, these are the places where you're going to actually see it. Well, like the platform, and it was a Spanish film. That was somewhere around 2019. The escape room, the same year.
Same. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and then Saws are also quite kind of sharing the
Yeah.
same idea
Same idea.
of this.
And the
Yeah,
backstory, like two 18-year-old
yeah.
Australians, a Chinese guy and another guy that came up with this concept. It is
Hmm.
extraordinarily brutal imagery if you're going to watch it. But there's a whole esoteric and exoteric thing to the whole
Yeah, that's why
dynamic of that.
I just read like you can just read the script. You don't
Yeah,
actually have to watch which
that's
I
what
just
I
get it
do.
off I just read it
Yep,
off the internet. You can go to the
yep,
script and
yep.
read it right
And
off the
then you'll
internet.
pick
Because
it
if
up.
you read it, you're going to see what's actually, you don't need to see it yet. So I read the script a lot. And that's where I get, that's where I need to do it again in one of these videos where I put it in the background. But I did it with the Omen one. Remember when we did the Omen? I put the
Yes,
script
yeah,
in the
fantastic. I was just
background.
reading about that today, actually, and I'll
Yeah.
be talking about that at some stage. The actual backstory to the whole film is some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, so also other movies that are not so kind of gruesome as that, but they're still they're gruesome in their own way. But they share this shared mind idea, meaning that point of interaction that we're talking about is really, you're not sharing it with nothing. You're actually sharing it with someone. You're sharing it either with your creator, your Lord Jesus Christ, or you're sharing with a demon, aka
Yep.
Satan. That's it. So therefore, movies that show this, like Monkey Shines. Do you remember that from
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
'88? Okay, well,
Yep.
Monkey Shines deals with that. Well, remember the monkey was named Ella, Ella,
Yep.
Umbrella
L, and that's
Ella.
God.
Yeah,
L.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then and also in a way it deals with the Lawnmower Man for sure,
Another
100%.
fantastic film.
Yeah,
Another
and
fantastic film.
that was in '92. The reason it deals with that is because it's it's just like with Monkey Shines. Although with Monkey Shines, it was a monkey that was getting the injection, but with the Lawnmower Man, it was Job who was getting it.
Yeah,
Right?
he had to have his Job too, didn't it?
Yeah, it had to
Mm,
be. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and then there was kind of the more kind of high, one that was supposed to seem a little bit higher brow, Altered States.
Older States, yeah,
That
with
yeah,
William
that
Hurt.
was earlier. That was
Yep.
'80.
Yep. 80.
And
Yep. Yep.
Altered
Incredibly
States,
good,
yeah,
great movie. A great
yeah,
movie and visuals on that film.
yeah. That was one. That was with what's his nuts, William Hurt,
William Hurt. Yep.
and the
Yep.
deprivation flotation tank.
Yep.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. Oh, you know what? Another movie that illustrates this point, and this point is quite this point that I'm talking about. This place that people are focusing their mind. It's like, are you willing to die for that? That's the
Yep.
question you ask yourself. So then in the seventh sign with Demi Moore, that would have been in '88 as well.
Yep.
'88 was a year. So so when that came, so in that show you have Peter Friedman who plays a, so you have a Jew, Peter Friedman, who plays a Catholic priest, go figure, who doesn't die. All right, he just goes through life because he's actually he's a Roman, let's just say from before, and he keeps during the movie, or the you have these flashback scenes where you see this guy keeps freaking wailing on this unseen person,
Yep.
asking, "Will you die for him? Will you die for him?" That was the question. And finally, Demi Moore. I won't spoil the answer, but if you want to watch it, it deals with the seventh sign, and also deals with the guff. The guff is this idea that time is present only in order for a specific number of souls to be born into it, and then once
Yep.
that one happens, it's done. So then,
Is that does
yeah,
that feed into with the Book of Enoch? There's parts of that where it suggests in Book of Enoch 3 or whatever.
yeah. Well, yeah. Anything once it
The-
deals with it means body. Within the
yeah.
so-called Jewish mysticism,
Yeah.
or it's called the Chamber of the Gulf, sometimes called Treasury of the Souls, and it's also called Seventh Heaven. Remember, there was a show called Seventh Heaven.
Seventh Heaven. Yeah, there was.
Yeah,
Yep.
Cheers,
and
Rick.
so that
This is
means
the
body.
idea
So
of the
really,
quarter
that's why
note
some people will say
and
body of
the
Christ.
half note. And if you
Like
turn
this,
that,
Yeah.
it looks
take
like
my
a
body.
loaded syringe needle.
Because
ready
remember we
for
talked about essence before.
insertion
So if I hand
into
you
the body,
something,
and
my
thus that
essence
Yeah,
becomes
you're
becomes
part of
the
it.
it.
light
Essence is
of
with part of
that
it. Yeah.
So you,
Now,
so then you
star.
yeah.
yeah. So just before I forget, because it keeps popping in my head, this Meta, the fact they turned Facebook's now called Meta, and
Uh-huh.
we've discussed the movie Tron many times,
Oh yeah,
quite a lot, which is also fits in with those
love it.
two movies, The Lawnmower Man and Altered States.
Yeah.
Metatron in the Book of Enoch. That's what just reminded me. I was listening. I sent you a show where they discuss Metatron.
Mm-hmm.
What we'll probably keep it to another show, but maybe if the next show 41, we discuss this Metatron idea that's in the
Sure.
Book of Enoch. Yep.
He's
So we'll
also
just
mentioned in the Talmud a few
of
times.
course, yeah, yep,
Yeah, he's in
yep.
some Kabbalistic stuff.
He's
Uh,
riding some. He
yeah,
flies around in a cube.
Yeah, so then
And
what flies around in a cube, Rick? It's like the answer's already in the question. So then if you fly around in a cube and if you take and you know that the cube is 6, 7, 8, the outside of you can see the 6 and the 8 when you hold a dice. What can't you see but the 7? So if
the
he's
7, yeah,
flying in the cube, he's the 7,
he's
meaning
the seventh person.
he's
Gotcha.
the mind of whatever he is representing. Now then you have to find out what the intent of Metatron is. Is he leading you into good or into so-called evil? He's either Christ or Antichrist. That's the only two choices.
That's yeah. There's only two choices, and so
Yeah.
we've got to discuss this
Yeah.
in the next episode, possibly.
Sure.
So you've got a week to think
Sure.
about it. But I've been going right into that because I'd never, despite all the stuff I've read over the years, I probably had gone in my head and I'd forgotten about it. But I just got reminded about Metatron recently, and I thought we should be doing something about the story because
Oh
it's
yeah.
in your. So it's been pushed again. Meta, which is your Facebook, and Tron got remade by Disney not that long ago. These are That's why they use those two words. No
Well,
doubt about that.
I would also say this though, with the Metatron character, you also just another a secondary like way to look at who this character is he's also mentioned supposedly as a second character or a second divine idea
Yeah.
idol, but he's also put together or beside or just beneath Yahweh.
Yes, that's what it says.
You already know that Yahweh is Satan.
So
Yahweh
therefore,
is Satan.
number
Therefore,
7.
you
So okay,
yeah
gotcha. Right. That's what I was kind of wondering. It
yeah
sounded like because he sounded like he had command of the these particular angels that did not like humans. But if you read the
yes.
story, and so I
So
thought that sounds like he's not the good guy.
you're dealing with what's represented by something or the appendage of Yahweh, which is really the appendage of Satan. Therefore, the Metatron character is obviously a you know
An antichrist or demon.
or is the devil basically in disguise.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's just remember I told you it's like the broken glass. If you take one piece of glass and drop it on the floor, all of those pieces are still part of that original one.
Yeah.
So then all of these different characters with all their different names
The
are
72
still,
demons.
yeah, they're still part of the same one. So it's
Yeah.
like you just
Gotcha.
kind of say that's just a personality of that one.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like you get Star Trek or Star Wars depending on what type of geek you are. You know,
Yeah.
it's
It's one or the other.
so yeah, so they give
Never
you kind of
it's never the two. It's either one
yeah
or the other. Two with
yeah
Star Wars and Star Trek. Yeah.
yeah. So the Metatron type of stuff and all that lore that's for like the 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 geeks who want to get into the nitty gritty of this, that, and the other thing, and all the entrails of the story,
End
sniffing
trails.
the entrails and getting to the point. So
Yep.
that was like the
Gotcha.
Coyote Rusher. That was I did a Coyote Rusher character where he got to the bottom, got to the bottom of every story and sniffed out every entrail. His name was Coyote Rusher.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny stuff, man. So yeah, so we'll talk about Metatron. I'll that's kind of just just a brief little.
Or if we maybe just do the Book of Enoch and
Sure.
probably take a couple of shows, but I do think
Yeah.
it's really relevant.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh just
Fantastic.
send me during the week your favorite little bits too, because there's there's
Oh yeah,
several
well
little.
I got the original 1930s when I think it was first published. I got a copy of that. And
Mm,
I was fascinated because I was like, what if I'd been told any of this stuff when I was at school at age 7 or 8, when what they did
hmm
to you at school? They brought in Bible teachers who had no idea about any of this stuff.
mm,
And they were giving you the most boring bits and pieces. And you went to sleep at the desk. There was nothing
right,
exciting in it, but Book of Enoch is like basically an Avengers movie,
right,
if not better than an Avengers movie. And it's not a lot of reading.
right.
I do think it's important that we look into it though, for sure.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
So back to 40. Back to 40. I don't
yeah,
want
back to
to. I've just
40, man.
derailed you. Back to 40.
So think about 40 as a metal then. speaking about kind of superheroes and whatnot. So it's zirconium. So Zirconium, zirconium. What's interesting about that word is well, one, what con's in there, but then zir in the modern usage is that of a he she. It's like
Oh, really?
it's considered a pronoun. Yeah, it's a he she. So it's like a zer instead of sir.
Hmm.
It's zer. So it's yeah, it's known as in the modern day as a pronoun. So you have this zirconium, this and in the so-called Persian, or in the use of the word, it's godlike, or I'm sorry, gold-like, or as gold. So then that's simply just the god with the added L.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The added L is the 12, the 3, the added 3,
So
the
you've got
ring.
God, add
Yeah.
the L, boom, gold.
And so 3, the God ring, the
Yep.
ring to rule them all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And also notice that is used in flash bulbs. Flash bulb is interesting because that is actually, so if you have the flash, so then that resulting light is illuminated on the subject. That light shadow is then captured by the film.
Yep.
That image is then presented to the end user. So you can see that light is going to be manifest. So the person who sees the picture, it's not going to look exactly the same as what you look like in person. Do you see? Because it flashed a
Yep.
metal screen over you.
Yeah,
Also,
exactly.
yeah, it's used in dental implants and things like that. So
What's the metal or mineral is it something zirconium?
well, that's what
Shoot,
it is. It's an element,
yeah.
zirconium, Zr,
What
atomic
color
number
is it?
40. It's silver.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, and it's also its form is hexagonal. So there's, of course, you know that. So then,
I'll tell you, there's a new version of the Fantastic Four out there, and the Silver
uh-huh.
Surfer's back in it now
Oh,
reproduces a female. But that's part of this whole
well, that's the
film.
Zer.
Exactly.
That's the Zer.
Exactly. There you go.
I'm
It's in
glad you
the, it's
brought
those
that
Hollywood
fantastic.
movies.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you brought that Fantastic Four up because I sent you Mason Montoya's uh, uh, his work on the 40,
Oh,
and then he
yeah.
had just mentioned that he was doing the Fantastic Four, uh,
Yeah.
dealing with the Happy Gilmore #2, and then also, speaking of which, he was bringing up, of course, and we haven't even got to it, but it's the all the 40s within so-called the Bible and whatnot. You're going to have 40 days and 40 nights, and the
Oh, yeah. 40
40
days
days
famine in the
of
desert.
temptation, 40
Yep.
days in the desert. So then the 40 is always this idea used as that door that you're walking through, and it's a
So
trial and
no matter what number
yeah,
show we do, it's going to
yeah,
add up to something relevant
yeah,
to
yeah,
everything. Yeah. So it was
yeah.
fantastic. Because I thought we're going to get to 9, and I thought maybe we'll get to 10, and that's about it. But no, no, I was wrong.
Yeah, let's keep going then, because also 40 days and 40 nights, speaking about it, not even on the biblical side, but it's an obvious manifestation of that idea, was used in 2005 at what's called the Dover trial. Now, what happened is that the at the end of the trial, because it was a made for TV trial. It's a Scopes trial redo, the monkey trial redo. So you had the Scopes trial in 1925, which was uh, they were wanting to outlaw um, evolution, or teaching
Yeah,
of human
and made
evolution.
into a big Hollywood movie back in
Yeah,
the day with Spencer Tracy
and
and
in
yeah.
2005 you had the Dover trial, which was trying to make or they stated as a fact that intelligent design is not science, and therefore it's a form of creationism, and thus unconstitutional to teach in school. So therefore they taught that basically you had to then teach that you came from a monkey.
Yep.
That became the
Can
law of the
can I
land,
just
basically.
by coincidence, I was having a
Uh-huh.
I go to the gym on Sunday afternoons, and luckily it's a private one where there's no one there, hardly any on a Sunday. I've got a key, it's like one of those 24-hour gyms. And my son rang me, who's at university, and you've reproduced yourself, and you have a version of yourself now,
Uh-huh.
as I've got a couple or three. And the argument we had was evolution, because he said, Dad, he was talking about evolution. I said, straight away, I was roaming around arguing with I created this child, and he's got the
Right.
same abilities as me as arguing. And it's quite frightening to see that I use the one thing with evolution. And I said to him, no matter what, there's it's the little there's a beetle out there that just defies all logic of evolution. I think it's called a fire beetle, and it's got a abdomen with one heart. There's two chemicals secreted in an abdomen divided by a wall inside its abdomen. It's got a rotating little disc on the top of it that comes around, it picks up the two chemicals and can spray out at any of its enemies, and it turns into a painful fire-like chemical. You cannot evolve something that's so perfectly designed as that without destroying the creature. It ruins people's arguments, but he will still try to argue that over the top of me.
Oh my
But
goodness.
evolution is a real big one that we need to get into people, because so many people just will believe in some form of evolution,
Mm.
and that becomes their religion as well. This is a
Well,
false
that
idea
becomes
of a
that
false
focal
idol.
point too.
Yep.
That's that point
Yep.
we're talking about, that invisible point, that because this, just so you know, this is a point that it 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 can it's an it can be anywhere, meaning that you can have as many people in the room as you want, and there might not be anyone in there at the same point you are. They're not
No.
looking at the same point. So they're at that point, and this is quite important in this place. Unless you are on the same node, you're not communicating.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So then,
Totally.
there's also this idea of Rami, and how Rami intersects with the 40, and what Rami is like Rami is relates to the throwing of the stones ritual in at the Hajj, where they ritually
Yep.
stone Satan. So now think about it. Now you say, oh, they ritually stone Satan. That's good. Well, depends on what you mean by Satan. I say then that if you're stoning Satan, saying say IO in front of a cube, what that seems to me to be a play act.
Yeah. Right.
That seems to me that you're putting on a show in front of the actual character you're claiming to destroy. If I look at it from
Yep.
above, I'm looking
Yeah.
at
No,
it
you're
from
right.
above. Yeah,
100%. I
yeah,
totally agree.
yeah.
This is
So
we're talking about millions and millions of people. Probably one of the, sadly to say, I'd say it's taken over as a religion.
yeah. Well,
This,
we're in the
and
ninth Muslim Crusade at the moment. His
all
so-called
100%.
historically. If you look at historically, they'll say there's been previously 8 XYZ whatever. Now I'm looking
Yep.
at the W point. We're looking XYZ. They'll say 8, but now we're looking at the W, which is this floating point that's out here in real time. We're in the ninth Muslim Crusade, period, against the West.
Yep.
That's but here's the difference. There's actually people who think they're going to do something about it, but they're not. There's it just is. It is what it is. But the thing about knowing things is that you can do things. Once you know something, you can do something. You know?
Yeah. Well,
It's like
if your
you
leg's on fire,
yeah.
you can put it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So now
Awesome.
that you know that that's happening, it's like I've declared it, so that you know that there's a ninth Muslim crusade happening across the plane of existence, across this realm called hell. That's happening at this moment. Now you know. Now you're not confused. Now you can actually do whatever you think you need to do, uh, to react to it. Notice
Yeah,
react, act, ACT, react. So you
yeah.
were acting one way, and they're like, no, 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 no. We need something else out of you, fella. You've been giving us that all week. We need something better out of you. I need you to react better. You got it. I'm going to give you something better.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's all about the impact, man.
Yeah, man, it's I could see it going on. You know, but there's nothing as you say. What can you do? But you can inform people.
Yep.
You can inform them and say, you know, if you're not watching, and
Inform, put them into the form, meaning that
yeah,
notice that we
shake
talked
them.
about node earlier, Rick. That's the
Yeah,
same thing. Think of the form as the node, meaning that unless you inform them specifically, hey, listen, hey, psst, sport, this is what I'm
yeah.
telling you. I'm telling you this right here. Boom. Say it back to me. Okay, you got it. Don't forget that. Because if you ever say that you weren't told that, you're a liar.
You're
That's
lying. I
why.
told you.
Yeah. It's like, because
They'll come up with
at
all these
some,
excuses. You never
yeah.
said that. You never
Yeah. So
meant that. And it's like, yes, I did. Yes, I
I'm
did.
like,
I
do you
told you
not
10 years ago.
remember? Oh,
Mm.
that's why you got to look them right in the eye, no matter who it is. And you got to take a picture of that moment. Click with your eyeballs together. Click. You look at each
Yep.
other. Click. And then you just bring it back. It's like, you remember this, and then if you're with them physically, you know that they know. Because just like when you're explaining something to somebody, Rick, that's a process. You see in their eyes when they actually get it versus
Mm.
what their mouth is saying.
Absolutely.
When yeah. So then
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
you see that, and then all of a sudden, if you're talking to them and you notice it, it literally looks like a spark in the eye when they get it,
Yeah.
because you see it. You
The
can
spark of
literally
life.
see it. Yeah. So then they get the
All
idea
of a
now
sudden,
that,
their brain synapses have sparked,
yeah.
and they've gone,
And
oh,
now,
hang on, you, yeah,
uh-huh. Yeah. Now you notice that the time in between you explaining it and them getting it is that distance between the heads. It's
yeah,
just going out farther, 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 farther. Some people take it longer, but then once they get it, it retracts back to immediacy, meaning that it's
yeah.
instant recall now. Because once they get it, they can instantly recall it.
You told them, and you warned
Yeah,
them, and they didn't listen
yeah,
to you, and they rubbished you,
yeah,
and all of a sudden they're going, actually, you were right.
yeah, yeah,
Especially if you stare them in the eye and say, you remember this? I told
yeah.
you. Yep, that's
Oh, yeah.
fantastic. True,
Oh,
it's
and
very
then,
true. I'm going through this every day, to be honest.
oh,
With
yeah,
people I
man.
spoke to. You know, I spoke to them, shared things to them, and they laughed at me. I'm again, I'm a proud conspiracy theorist. I hate to use that term, but
Yeah.
it makes sense to me to call myself that because I said this is going to happen, and they laughed, but now they're not laughing because they're seeing it happen,
Ah.
and particularly with this crusade that's going on right now in the
Yeah,
UK and
I
Europe.
was once called in during the Joan Benet Ramsey's Katy Perry days when it was in the papers. I was once called in one of those papers. I was called a world famous conspiracy theorist.
Conspiracy. You know what, Dave? You are the
Yeah.
most world famous conspiracy theorist. Even Crow 777 would probably agree with that one because he
Oh
shouted you
yeah.
out a couple of weeks ago. I shared that to you, and I thought that was
He
very
sure
good to
did.
see a bit of respect shown by. And he always does show you a lot of respect, so I've got a lot of time for that show.
Mm-hmm.
And good stuff,
Yeah,
man.
man. Yeah. So hey, I was thinking that there was this other. What was I going to say? Oh, I was going to tell you about kind of what I was planning to put in the background of this audio. I'm going to put the
Mm.
different shapes and the different kind of definitions of what we've been talking about during the
The
show, so you can,
tetrahedron,
yeah, all of that stuff in motion, so that you can actually see it, and also some line drawings I did. Now that once we've talked about it now, And once you see
Yep.
some of this stuff, now you'll be able to actually see those line drawings. I didn't say, oh, now I know what
And
you're
well
doing.
done to, I have to shout out the
Yeah.
audience that's been listening. You know, there's up to 600 people on some of these shows of
Hmm.
smart people, because
Oh yeah,
this
Kate's
stuff
putting
will
out some
go
really
into,
good stuff.
yep,
Kate's
this
putting out some good
stuff
stuff.
is not for the normie people. They will never be able to get. A lot of them will never get it. They are, unfortunately, this non-player character. They don't have the
Hmm.
spirit in them. And but if you get 600 people on a YouTube, because they do strangle you too, Dave. I would say it's probably a lot more people listening than what they're telling you
Yeah,
quietly.
we're in the far corner of the
Yeah,
internet.
we're in the dark little corner, but we're not wearing dunces caps. we we haven't got cubes on our heads either, like they do when you
No.
graduate from university, and they put the black cube on your head and a little Masonic apron, and
Yeah.
and they tell you you've graduated and you're now
To
part of
cover
the
your head.
university. You're singing the same tune that they wanted you to sing, and
Do you notice?
Universal.
Check this out. You mentioned something, and it brought this to mind. Like this. Remember, we were talking earlier when we first started about just holding people to what they claim that they follow. So
Yeah,
then, if you look at these, so we talked about this place between the heads, and then the Masons cover that with a lambskin. So that
yeah, yes they
now, but
do.
listen. Oh, I'm sorry, but check this out. Guess who then covers the top of their head, which is in the Old Testament, the entry point and the communication portal to God. They cover it with a freaking yarmulke,
Yeah, the
meaning that
perfect spot. And did you know if you're attacked by wasps, no, sorry, bees,
uh,
if you or no, I think it's wasps or bees, they attack the point that they can see in their wasp eyes or bee
mhm.
eyes is that exact circle on the back of the head where
Yeah,
this
and
this and heat emanation comes out.
so if you're putting that cap though on,
You're
you're
blocking it.
blocking communication, just like
Yep,
you're blocking the natural order if you put the apron on.
yep,
That's also
yep.
the same symbology with the man in the dress. It's the same with the man in the dress is the same idea of putting is covering or veiling,
Covering that, veiling that
covering or
part of
veiling
them
an
in
idea.
between.
So the
Yep.
masculine idea is being covered by the feminine. It's an eclipse, a total
Yeah.
eclipse of the
Total
sun.
eclipse. Or the
And so
solar
then,
plexus. Well, I'm just
yeah,
talking about
the
physically,
solar
but yeah.
plexus. Yeah, you can.
Mm.
Yeah, however people get it, as long as as long as that they know that their body follows their mind, and if they stop believing on nonsense, like within that exists only in the 4D, the 40 that we're talking about, the 4D, but also the 40. The 4D is what's also known as space time, or what's sometimes referred to as the space time continuum, is known as
I
the
was going to
4D.
say, yep,
Yeah,
space
that
time
so
continuum.
now you know. So now you know what that space is. The 40 is the 4D, and then that point of focus is that point that we're talking about, and that all these different esoteric inventions, the Masons and the Catholics and all that, they cover this. Why do you think the Catholics are so hell bent on, this spiritual
He
saltpeter?
wears the same stupid little round acorn
Yeah,
thing on top of his head
he
as
does,
well. Just
but
remember that.
they also have this spiritual saltpeter idea of the celibacy.
Yeah,
So this
yep. No
unnatural
children,
order idea.
no
This
yeah, completely unnatural.
So they're
No
basically
children.
a spiritual eunuch.
Yeah,
So then,
yep.
so
Spiritual
each one of these,
homosexual,
yeah, and then they wear a dress too.
and
So
they
that,
wear giant fish on their heads every now
yeah,
and
they wear a dress, and so so man, so all of these stories then share the
Also
same
just remember,
narrative.
Dave, the 4D is the four fours, which is the 16, which is the 7.
Yeah, it's the mind. Four
The mind.
sevens. Yeah, that's right. Four sevens. The Zion. Four sevens. Rick, remember
Yep,
Neo 1 returns to
yep,
Zion. All right,
yep.
40. The four sevens is also if you put them in order on the table in front of you, they'll create the swastika or the sun sign.
Exactly. The sun sign, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
it
it's the 4-7.
follows into this
Yeah.
solar. That's why I thought when you're talking about between
Yeah.
two heads, the
Yeah.
reproductive and the thing,
Yeah.
it is a solar plexus.
It is what
It fits in with
flexes.
that whole. Yeah, exactly. Hey man, you've done
Solar
it again.
plexus.
I hate to say this, Dave. You've done a better show than the last one
Oh, nice.
with no
Excellent.
rehearsals, no rehearsals whatsoever.
No.
But I do kind of. We speak a couple of strands of text between Sundays when we do the
Uh-huh.
shows. But each time I go, what's he going to talk about? Because I've got I'm telling you, I've got no idea what you're going to talk about. Even if you give me a few ideas, I'm like,
Right.
how's he going to make a show out of that? But
Right.
40 becomes more important than 39
Oh yeah.
and more important than 37 and 38, etc.
Just moves. Oh, notice though, and I want to reiterate this. We talked about it quickly, but we're at anytime you're at the 0, the 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Now we're at the 4-0. The 0 is that point that you can get off. Meaning that if it's an idea that you're done with, you don't turn that 0 to 1 and go 911 again. Right?
No.
That's the way that works. So you're at the you have the same process at the 5-0, at the 6-0. You'll notice that down the road, but that's a few videos down the road. But now just concentrating on this one, the 4-0, and what makes this important, Rick, is that remember when I did the times 0, that it somehow blew them into the ether.
Yep.
That's unique. That's unique to those 0 points. That's also what's called 0 point energy, sometimes confused as in just numbers form. It's this place, or sometimes it's called a black hole, or a singularity, because at those points, something that was there that you thought was there can simply disappear if you go the wrong way on that swastika. That idea of the 4-7. You have two chances to go one way. You can go one way, the other way, which will leave you with zeros, or you can go the other this way or that way, which will remain you at 4 or at 5 or at 6, whatever 0 point you're at. Notice that? It's
Yeah.
quite interesting. That's like the gamble. That's the leap of faith. That's this. Do you keep following this idea? Do you keep going with it? Right, that's that next point. So you've then crossed the threshold, and then you're on to the ride, at least to the next 0 point. Just
Yep.
another book on the subject, just another video on the subject, just another.
I,
You see?
I have to reiterate too that one of I think it was the first show we did on truthmeets.com, which truthmeets.com's got all the original first 22 episodes
Yep.
produced, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the one we did on Disney,
Mm-hmm.
we did 2 on Disney, was it? But
Yeah, 2
the
or
fact
3, I thought.
the fact that Mr. Toad's Wild Ride,
Yeah.
you got to people listening to the show, you got to go back and listen to those shows because that was class A information, and the fact that meat truck was named
With the Jesse Smollett.
Jesse Smollett, the Smollett's meats. Now,
Yeah.
how many people? Now, I've never heard anyone bring that up before, and
Yeah.
I'm what I would call a media slut. I'm all over alternative media. I'm all over different shows. And no one has brought that stuff up. And I'm very proud to have been on the same show as this guy. Smollett's Meats. You saw it if you went to Disneyland back in the day.
Oh
It
yeah.
went into
Sure
your
did.
psyche. It went into your psyche, and then Jussie Smollett came out. Was it 10 years ago or 8 years ago, whatever it was? And you heard this whole thing just to rev up the whole anger. Well, no, actually, probably was it? It was
And the meats,
2020.
the meats part is it was twofold. It was not only the meats with the kind of the color story, but it was the meats with the gay rumor
Exactly.
that he
So it
was
was
into
all,
meats.
it's all in there. It's
Yeah,
all in there.
yeah, it's
That
all in
was
there, man.
fantastic. I always remember that as being. I thought
Yeah.
this is a good show here,
Oh, I
and
did like
I
that.
keep. Yeah, that was good. It was, well, because I've never been to Disneyland, but
Yeah.
I'd never heard Smollett brought up before. No other show, and I'm telling you, no other show has ever brought that. The fact that millions and millions of children, and I'm gonna have to,
Right.
it would be millions, have been
Oh
through
yeah.
Disneyland. They've been through Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and that was telling a whole lot of stuff. So if you go back to the very first couple of episodes of Bongversations,
Yeah.
where we talk about this stuff. Highly recommended. This is
Yeah.
definitely
Those
one of
were
the
good
greatest shows
times,
out
man.
there. I have to say that, Dave. This is one of the greatest shows out there.
Yeah. Because we went.
And
Remember, we went on Nemo's ride, his submarine.
yep,
We also went into the microscope. We did a lot of
yeah,
stuff in that episode, or in those
and
3
that
episodes.
it's great, very good 3 episodes. So
Yeah, man.
there's so much information in these shows, but you've got to go back and listen to the beginnings between once we're now at the episode 40.
Yeah.
He just knocked it out of the park and done a better episode than number 1 even. But you've got to listen to those old original shows and go back. If you're only a new listener, there's plenty of. I'd say most of those people you've got on there, Dave, that are listening here, they've listened to that stuff before.
Right.
But I just recommend people go back and listen to those shows where you're getting some total original information for
Yeah, I'll leave a
free.
link too.
No one's asking any money, not a cent. It's all for free. But do yourself a favour and listen to those original Bongversations, because they're turning into be, I would say, one of the more great esoteric shows out there. This is not your normal YouTube or information thing. You're getting total original information here.
Yeah, you got to
So
keep it higher than their competence level. They won't know what you're
12
talking
out of
about.
10, 13 out of 10, 14 out of 10, Dave, I would give you.
Well, thank you very much.
Mm, Yep.
So I'll send the
I'll
bot
give
out of the room, and next week we'll do
yeah,
41.
41. Can we do it? If we book of Enoch, I think would be really worth
Cheers,
doing.
Rick.
And
This
it might
is the
take a couple of
idea of
episodes,
the
but yeah,
quarter note
fantastic. Thanks, Dave,
and
for another
the half
awesome show,
note.
man.
And
This
if
is
you
just
turn that, it looks like a
really
loaded
enjoyable to do
syringe needle,
and to be part
ready
of.
for
I had a great time.
insertion
Excellent.
into the
All right,
body,
everybody, be
and
blessed
thus that
and leave
Be
becomes
blessed.
the
comments.
light of
Talk
that
to you soon.
caramel. It's
See you later.